Yeah, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending from where in the world you are tuned into today's webinar. Welcome to Digital Manufacturing, Integrated Tool Data Management, a boost for your productivity. Welcome to our webinar today. Well, in fact, it's not just a webinar, it's part of a webinar series of 4 individual webinars, and it's the last one. So it's the series finale, so to say. And today it's basically manage your tools throughout the shop floor. And yeah, let's see, it's going to be an exciting, fun webinar, I hope. Let's start with a little housekeeping from my end. We're expecting quite a few attendees here, so I will keep you muted during the webinar. But there's always the possibility for you to ask questions. There's a question window where you can just enter your questions. However, I will come to the questions at the end of the webinar. There will be some time to answer your questions. Yeah, I already mentioned it today, the final webinar. I want to bring everything together what we did in the last couple webinars. It's about planning plus the fully automated shop floor management. So the big picture, how does an optimized overall process reduce machine downtime and the scrap rates? I will start with tool management in the planning phase, and then of course the shop floor workflow. And this time, I think I mentioned this last time already, I will focus on a live demo. So a big part of today's webinar will be a live demo in the system, really to cover all bases. But don't worry, I will start with a short recap. So if you're a newcomer, if you haven't seen the other 3, no problem. We will manage to get you through that as well. And also for the newcomers in this series, let me introduce myself real quick, and let's see if the webcam is actually working. I don't know if you can see me. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't see my webcam. Can I show this here? Ah, there I am. Yes, my name is Robert Auer. I'm Director of Global Business Development here at TDM Systems. I am a software engineer by trade. Did spend most of my professional career in the manufacturing industry, and yeah, dedicated to tool management in the last 10 plus years, 10 plus meaning tool management when Industry 4.0 smart manufacturing was not even a thing. My background is quite international. I did work and live in the US for a while, responsible for several European markets, China, India, Southeast Asia. But being on the road a lot in the last couple of years right now, as you all probably, I'm stranded at home. But to be honest, stranded at home for me could be worse because home meaning Southern Germany, Lake Constance. You see I have a shade here because the sun is kind of quite nice, blue skies. So let's get this webinar going, and I might talk a little bit faster because of the sunshine. Anyway, yeah, that was everything about me. And now let me introduce TDM real quick, but let me turn off the camera to save some bandwidth. Yeah, TDM Systems is the leading software provider for managing tool data in the metal cutting industry. TDM is headquartered in Tübingen, which is south of Stuttgart in Germany, north of my home office actually. We have a subsidiary in Schaumburg, close to Chicago, Illinois, and sales and service locations and partners, of course, around the world. We are a member of the Sandvik Group, which means we have a strong company in the back, and this, of course, gives TDM Systems access to state-of-the-art know-how of internationally leading tool manufacturers. However, I mentioned this in every webinar, it's really important to point out, we are agnostic, we're an open software. We do not only manage Sandvik tools, we manage tools, period. So part of this openness, independenceness is, of course, that's key for digital manufacturing. And in this spirit, I don't see the webinar series as a product presentation, more a presentation or ideas what tool management or state-of-the-art tool management can do and what it can do for you. So without further ado, live from my home office at the beautiful Lake Constance, let's talk about tool data management. In a nutshell, what is tool management? Tool management means have the right tool or the right tools at the right time, right place with the right data or the right data quality. Tool management software is a central database, the central point of truth, so to say, a tool library which provides information in the different stages of the manufacturing process. It starts with the programming, job planning area for your CAM programmers, for tooling engineers. Then, of course, planning the manufacturing part, manufacturing management, and last but not least, of course, big data controlling. And the tool management system provides data along this entire process. Let's have a quick look, a little closer look how that could look like. I mean, on the lower left side, you see the tools. So you buy your tools, and in the tool flow or in the workflow, at the end, there's a machine which produces parts. So out of those components, the inserts, drills, in the end of the day, you manufacture your parts. And of course, there are different stages of this process. So it can start somewhere, your ERP system. You buy your parts, so you have your components in an ERP system. And this is where the tool data management process starts, like this yellow line on the top. So there's an interface between ERP and a tool management system. Typical data, which is part of the interface, an item number, an article number, and then in the tool data management system, you can enrich the basic data. So the next step in the process could be your CAM department, your CAM programmers, the simulation software, and the tool data management software. What it does, out of your components in the ERP system, we create tool assemblies with all the parameters needed for programming, like 2D, 3D graphics, the parameters for different CAM systems. So now you can start doing your programming. Of course, you can also have general tool management cockpits where you generate data, edit data, manage data, enrich data. You do your planning and your evaluation. So this is your usual planning phase. You have your components, you create assemblies, and you do your CAM programming. This is something we talked about 2 webinars ago. And now we go down on the shop floor level. And usually you have one or maybe even more multiple shop floors. So it could be one location or two shop floors or 2 locations across the street, or 2, 3, 4, 5 locations distributed all over the world. And the tool management software can handle this, a central database, different locations. And a typical shop floor process could look like that. You have your assembly area, your warehouse, where you get all your components out of vending systems, and you assemble your tools. And the tool management software provides, for example, the jobs, the bill of material, the items you need to assemble the tools with the stock location, quantity. It automatically reorders parts if you run out of stock, things like that, all handled by a tool management system. The next logical step could be a presetter. So you have your assembled tool, you put it on the presetter. The tool management system provides the nominal tool data, maybe tolerances. The presetter automatically measures your tool and sends the actual offsets, the actual data, back to the tool management system. And as a next step, you have the machining process. Of course, the assemblies we put into machine, to the magazine. We provide the offsets. We request magazine data, tool life, some reporting on that. This is kind of the last phase of this typical tool lifecycle management process. And of course, last but not least, a regrinding process. So this is what you can see here. This is your typical process, and a tool management system like TDM can cover all the bases, or of course just 1 or 2 functionalities of this. For example, it also makes sense to have a tool management system for your CAM department, or on a shop floor where you have your assemblies, your presetting. And just to give you an idea what brands or what entities are out there, these are a couple logos from partners of TDM systems we have interfaces to. So we actually have more than 60 interfaces to different systems on the shop floor. And this big picture is what a tool management system does. But now let me back up a little bit, because before I go into the live demo, let me break down the functionality a little bit. Then it's a little bit easier to follow. In a nutshell, a tool management system manages items, components. Then those items and components are built to tool assemblies. And those tool assemblies can then be used in a CAM system to do your programming. And the output is a job, a tool list, kind of the list of tools with a bill of material which you need for a certain part. And this is something I'm going to show in a second in the live software. Why are we doing this? Of course, quality improvements, cost savings, time savings. Again, right tool, right place, right time. And over the last 3 webinars, I was always using those 3 numbers. Typical customer use cases, saving almost $2 million within 12 months by reducing the amount of tools by half, slashing it from 6,000 tool assemblies to 3,000 tool assemblies. We were able to save $2 million a year. Or of course, increase your uptime or reduce your downtime by optimizing your setups. Customer was able to save 350 hours per machine as on the machines, or of course reduce the scrap rate. There are of course many benefits, and the benefits of a tool management system, a separate webinar on its own. The important part is items, assemblies, tool lists. You will hear this a couple more times in a minute. And what we're actually going to show is what I'm going to show is the shop floor process. And really just to introduce the process, you have your NC program. The NC program generates a tool list. These are the tools needed for a particular job. So what we can do now, we can cross-reference the list for the next job and see, are those tools already on the machine? Or of course, we can compare multiple machines and check on which machine would it make sense to run this job. So we compare the needed tools with the actual tools which are already on the machine. And of course, we could cross-check with remaining tool life. Is the tool life still sufficient? And so on and so forth. But in the end of the day, the output is a pick list, a list with the required tools for that job. As you can see, 3 tools were already on the machine, so we only have to prepare 2 tools. In the next step, we get all the components needed for those tools, 2 tools out of stock, out of the warehouse, out of the vending system. We assemble the tools, we send those tools to the presetter. The presetter does an automatic measurement, and then we send the offsets to the machine. This is kind of the process I'm going to show you now live in our tool management software. So, of course, what I cannot show is step number 1, because we don't have enough time. How do we get the data into the system? Just really quick, there are multiple ways to make sure that the data quality in the tool management system is perfect. We have a web catalog where we can import tools. We have a connection to multiple tool vendors with their catalog, platforms like Tools United, Machining Cloud, and so on and so forth. If this is not enough, then we have editors, 2D, 3 editors on board to generate data from scratch, to modify data, to optimize data. Of course, we have a data service team which can support you. Or then, of course, last but definitely not least, is our data graphic generator. With 3 clicks, you can generate any tool basically from scratch. So the point of this slide is, as a starting point, you need the data into the tool management system. The system is only as good as the data, and TDM makes sure that you have the tools and the capability to get the database right in the first place. So that was the presentation part now, or the PowerPoint part. Now let's switch to our software global line. So what you can see here is kind of the starting screen. You log into the system and it looks somewhat like this because you can actually customize it. So for a Shopfloor Manager, it might look different than for a machinist, than for a controller, and so on and so forth. You can customize it. Now, I know it's a little bit tricky to do this complete process demonstration in a webinar because it's remote. I don't see you in person. We don't have the machines and everything here. So try to bear with me. I'm going to show you basically in one screen multiple actions or multiple locations on a shop floor. So this would be my log on screen, and kind of the first step is the tooling engineer or somebody who has to take care of the components. So this is the screen or the user interface for your components. You can see there is a I already opened one, but you can of course search for components based on geometry, based on tool type, based on vendor. So the components are in the system with all the necessary data, like their parameters, length, diameter, the supplier, of course, speeds and feeds, and of course, stock location and quantity. So that would be the first level. You have the items in the software. Of course, it's a tool management software. We can check, is this item actually used in a tool assembly, or is it used in a tool list? The system knows it because we have this central database with all information, and you can already see, this item is actually used in a tool assembly. So let's check. That is okay. What I could do is now I could click on this. I could click on the assembly, and the system would automatically transfer me to it. You know what? Let's do this. And of course, this is not the second level. This is the tool assembly. The tool assembly, again, with all the parameters, now with the bill of material, if you have to assemble it, and you have a nice assembly drawing. We have the speeds and feeds for our programmers. And of course, we have the parameters for different CAM systems. So the CAM system can directly connect to the TDM database, grab the tool or the tool assembly, do the programming, and you're good to go. Of course, it is very easy to assemble a new tool from scratch, but I'm not going to show this now. I basically want to show the output of the CAM system. The output would be a tool list. So we want to manufacture this connecting rod, and we had our items. We created the tool assemblies. The tool assemblies were imported into CAM system. We did the programming in whatever, Mastercam, Esprit, Siemens NX, CATIA, whatever. And the output of the CAM system was the tool list. And the tool list comes with basically the bill of material with the components, and the components have a stock location. So it's almost like a tree. Everything is here what I need for manufacturing. And now we start the shop floor process. This is still kind of planning. Now we start the shop floor process. And what we have in TDM is what we call the Shopfloor Manager. So you can create a process from scratch. So this is for today's demo, this is the workflow I envisioned. We have a tool crib with one vending system. We have an assembly area. We have one presetter, and we have two machines. This is kind of my shop floor. If you have to change this, you don't have to customize it. It's per drag and drop. You can kind of draw your shop floor, draw the connecting line, and tell the system what happens if you move something from one station to another. So it's almost like a wizard to create your shop floor process. And this is, of course, not just a picture. As soon as you save it, this process will run in the background. And now let's go through this process from crib to assembly to presetting to machine. And kind of in the background, what I want to show first is we have what we call Picklist. So Picklist is the job, is kind of the document with all the tools needed, which kind of flows through the process. And you can see I have 3 pick lists here, 4 pick lists here. What I want to do now, I want to create a new pick list for a new job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a job, and I'm going to select the one we just saw, this connecting rod. And for that job, if you remember, for that job, we need a bunch of tools. Let's go back real quick to the tool list. For that job, we need 4 tools, right? So now I can check what happens if I want to run this tool on that machine. If I run it on that machine, let's see. Oh, that's nice, actually. All 4 tools are already on the machine, so I have to do nothing. If I want, I can force the system to create a new tool and bring it to the machine, but I don't have to. There's still enough in the machine, and they still have kind of tool life on it. So it's good. I don't want to do nothing. So I'm not gonna, I would have to do nothing. Let's see what happens if I run it on the other machine. If I want to run it on the other machine, none of the tools is actually at the machine. I have to create all tools from scratch. But because this is a webinar and I want to show how the workflow works, I'm gonna create a new pick list, and let's create the 4 tools, or let's build the 4 tools. So I'm going to create a new pick list called webinar. And it's really just a name, saving it. And as soon as the new pick list with the 4 tools is saved, let's go back to the pick list. And you can see here, down here, the new pick list is created with all the 4 tools. And as you can see, the status right now is 4 tools are in stock. So you remember the workflow: tool crib, assembly, presetting, machine. So let's go to the tool crib. And again, what I'm doing here, I'm clicking through tabs on one PC. Usually these are completely different stations on the workflow, on the shop floor. What I did, creating the pick list, the tool requirements, that could be the manufacturing manager in his office, deciding what job do we want to run, on which machine do we want to run, and then creating kind of the work order. What I'm doing right now is basically working on a work order. So now I'm in the tool crib in front of my shuttles. I have my vending systems. So now I select the pick lists which are created for me. Let's use the one for the webinar, and hopefully, yes, 4 tools. So I'm doing everything right here. And now if this would be a fully automated system, I just have to click on book bill of material, and it would automatically send a request to a vending system so I can get all the necessary components from my vending system. It would adjust the stock quantity, of course. If it's a fully automated system, I can the little drawers would open, and I have everything I need in order to assemble a tool. And you can also see that the status of this tool actually changed from ready to to get out of the system to okay, ready to be assembled. And if I go to the next station, and I'm only going to do this with one tool, but not with 4 tools, it takes too long. If I would go to the next station, the assembly area, which can be a different station or maybe it's the same, and I am calling up the same Picklist webinar, I should see one tool. Exactly, that's the one tool. I just got the components out of the vending system. It's right here. So, and I have my tool here, and let's get a second one. Why is it not? Let's get the second one here. So, and let's get the webinar list. Let's get the second one. So I can click on this assembly button, and now I basically tell the system, yes, this tool is now assembled. And let's do this. So now both tools, that one here, is actually assembled, and this tool is now assembled, and it should show up after assembly. After assembly, I can send the, let's do this. After the assembly, I can send it to the presetter. So I just click on the button, and everything clicking could be automated as well. So now this tool is no longer in the assembly area. The tool is, or the digital part of the tool is moved to the presetter. Now let's switch to the presetter here real quick. And as you can see, and I have to, of course, select the same pick list. Webinar should be the one tool. The one tool is now here in the preset area. I can preset the tools, and obviously it's a demo. I don't have a presetter here in my home office, so I kind of have to enter the data manually. It should be 256. So now what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to do a little bit more, and the system actually tells me, hey, this is out of tolerance. So let's be a little bit more closer to the dimensions here. So what I'm doing right now is I'm entering the preset data manually because I don't have a presetter. Usually the presetter will do this, of course, and then send the data back to the tool management system. So, and now you can see the actual flags, so to say, have changed. Now it's green here. That means the tool is preset. And now as a kind of a last step, I can send this tool to the machine. So I click on that button. And again, every button I click, that can be fully automated, of course. And now the system knows the tool is transferred to the machine. And as a last step, let's have a quick look at the machine. And the same thing, I'm going to call up the oops, did I? Yeah, is it at the machine? Yes, and I need the right machine, of course. So now the tools are at the machine, and for whatever reason it doesn't show up. So the tools are at the machine, and from here on I can put it in the machine, do my machining, and of course there are multiple options. I can request a Duplo tool from the tool crib. I can remeasure a tool. I can arrange for another tool to be brought to the machine. And last but not least, we have a nice overview, actually what's going on in the machine, monitor the tools in the machine, monitor the tool life, and all that stuff. So in a short presentation, I wanted to show you the process from creating a pick list, a requirement list, getting the stuff from out of the vending system, the crib, assemble the tools, preset the tools, send it to a machine, and now you have a nice overview of what's going on your shop floor. And this is all configured in this Shopfloor Designer. You design your shop floor, you tell the system what happens, what the workflow is, what happens between the station, you save it, and you're done. And of course, there are a lot of ways to monitor or to visualize what's going on. We have a dashboard where you can see, here for example, I can see that my webinar order is is processed on the shop floor. It's yellow because not all the tool, I decided to not put all tools to machine, so that's why it's yellow and not green, but you have a nice overview what's going on your shop floor. So you have transparency, and of course you can make sure you have the right tool at the right place at the right time. And with that, let me go back to the presentation. I have to click here real quick. So this was kind of a really fast run through an entire process, an automated process on the shop floor. And in the beginning, like 2 weeks ago, we started at what is tool management? Is tool management Excel sheets? Is it files? No, it's not. You can never do this with files on Excel sheet. Even those island solutions you have on vending systems, in CAM systems or PLCs, those solutions as a tool management system, they have to fall short if you really look at the big picture, the entire process. So what we were showing in the webinars, and of course, especially today, is a full-blown tool management system where you manage your items, your assemblies, the assemblies ready to being used in the CAM systems. And then, of course, the job sheets, the jobs, which then flow through the entire shop floor. That's kind of the big picture when we talk about tool management. But obviously, this is the big scenario. You can start small in certain areas like the CAM area, the tool crib, the presetter. There are multiple ways to start small and then what we call land and expand and create your own workflow to optimize your own process. Yeah, and I really know that this is a lot of information within half an hour, actually 20 minutes. This is really just to give you an idea what's possible, to interest you. If you want to know more, feel free to contact us for a demo, for a presentation, or of course, if you have questions, feel free to ask them right now, because this was the last slide and I'm done with today's webinar. So there's a little time for questions. And thank you, David, that you did see me in the beginning. I had a problem with my camera. Yeah, and again, as if there are questions, also feel free to shoot us an email, go on our webpage. We have a YouTube channel with nice, let's call them educational videos to show a typical CAM integration, a typical shop floor process, or just the crib. And there are multiple ways to get information. And yeah, if there are no more questions, then thank you again for participating. It was definitely a pleasure. It was fun. And I know that the last one was a lot of information, a lot of information to digest. And there is actually a question. Let me click on it. The question is, can you monitor in any given time which tool is in which machine? So the question is basically, if you remember the last tab in the live demo, can we monitor tools in a machine with their tool life? And the short answer is yes, of course. We can monitor every tool in every machine at any given time. We know where the tool is. We know even a serial number of a tool. If it's a Duplo tool, we know the tool life, the remaining tool life. We can compare the remaining tool life with a warning limit and make sure that we bring the tools to the machine before the end of their tool life. There's a teeny tiny however. In order to do that, we have to connect to the machine control. And this, of course, depends on the type of and the version, the age, so to say, of the machine control. Some controls are a little bit easier to get data out of, and some controls are, I almost want to say, impossible to get out of. Like, let's just say you have an old whatever control with an RS-232 connection, almost no chance to get that data. You have state-of-the-art whatever, Siemens 840D, Mazak, sorry for not bringing everything up. If you have a newer control, it tends to be a little bit easier to get that data out of the machine. But the software is, of course, capable of doing that. And that was, again, a long answer for a short question. Jo, wait a second, there's another question. Yeah. Okay, no, that was another question. That was the second part of the question. We have multiple machines with large capacity tool magazines. and a large tool crib. Of course, no problem. We can manage as much as you want. But the advantage, of course, of a tool management system like ours, or when you can track tools, stock location, that you reduce the size of magazines, that you reduce the size of your tool crib. Of course, what you have right now is what you have, but the goal is to manage it smarter. So you're able to reduce the magazine size, which makes the machine cheaper, and you need less tools, of course, or fewer tools, which makes the makes everything easier and yeah, less expensive. So let me, before I really say goodbye, let me double check. Are there any other questions? Let me detach this. No, I think there are no more questions. So that was it. No, really, that was really it. Again, thank you for participating. It was a pleasure. It was fun. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, to shoot us an email, to go on a web page, request a demo. We are here for you. And the entire series was a lot of fun. But I also hope to see some of you live for a live visit, discuss tool management sometime in the near future. But until then, I would say stay safe and see you somewhere around the world. And yeah, good evening, good night, or whatever time zone you're in right now. Thank you.